Hello. Thank you so much for joining us again with relationship, friendship, lifestyle conversations with Osayuame. And I am your host, Uwa. I'm super excited to be live tonight. Yay, yay, yay. I mean, last week was explosive, and this week is going to even get better and hotter because trust me, we have very juicy conversations tonight. So quickly, before I just go into the conversation, I'd like to invite or introduce my guest. Coach Jessica Sampson, popularly known as Jess and is Energizer, is an intimacy and marriage counselor. She also authored the book "Sex Was Made." For you too, woman, sex was made for you too. That's the name of her book, and she also teaches sex education to both children as well, and teaches them how to be conscious of themselves. And that's who she is. Coach Jess is right here with us, and she's live with me uh, on conversations. Thank you so much, Coach Jessica, for joining me tonight. I am super, super excited to be having you tonight. Hello.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Are you sure you're ready for me tonight?
I am. I'm looking forward. I'm excited.
Tonight's conversation is quite interesting because trust me, when I put up the flyer on my status, I put up I put up the flyer on my status, and I also put up a short video on my status. I mean, a lot of people actually started chatting me privately, but I mean, a lot of people were wondering, okay, should I be anonymous? Should I stay? I like my question to be anonymous and all of that. First of all, why is sex conversation? Why is it always like I have to make it hush hush? I don't have to talk about it. Why is that so, Jess?
The fact that you called me up and then just the mood you're giving, you can tell from your emotions how much the topic is heavy, how much the conversation around this conversation gets really, really, there's so much emotions around it. That's because how we see sex. We do not see sex like every other matter, every other subject, every other conversation as easy as it can get. Guess what? We have a lot of religious blackmail around it. We have a lot of we don't say the word. So it's like an unofficial taboo conversation. So for every time you have to have
Hmm.
to talk about it, that means you've got some balls. So yes. So that's why we have it all over the world. Like it's not it's everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tonight's conversation is the topic of the conversation says exploring sexual fantasies, right, in marriage. So because of for the sake of the people that begged me that please, oh, they are not married people. So can we not limit it to marriages? I said no problem. We will we would not limit it to only married couples. We would talk about it generally in relationship, exploring what's it called, sexual fantasies. And first, the
Okay.
first question that popped into my head when this topic came up was, Jess. I mean, is it possible that everyone has, are there sexual explorers, or it's specific to everyone? I mean, everybody has this that exploration spirit inside of them, or it is only to a specific kind of people?
Okay. Truth is, we are all explorative people. First of all, you're a human being. We're all human. And because you're human, you have imagination, you have thoughts, you have feelings, right? So it is absolutely okay to think of the most unthinkable, something that is not common to people to think or to see. For instance, you find one holier than thou, she's all tongue talking woman, she's all that there is, and her sexual preferences is wild. In your
Mhm.
head, you're thinking, oh my goodness, what kind of a person does this? That's because I am me, you are you. So you cannot be able to express or to dictate how a person feels. Just like you might desire to like a white color. For some reasons, I feel like I'm not particular about colors. You see how we're different, how we're distant. Even twins cannot think the same way. Like we say, perspective, we talk about opinion. You see? So when it comes to sexuality, it also applies. And that's why a lot of people have disparities or a lot of people have issues in their marriages or relationships, generally speaking, because they do not align sexually. What I see is not what I you see. What I desire is not what you desire. Based on a lot of reasons, maybe background, what you've been tilted to. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it is absolutely okay for people to think the worst or think some, and to them it feels really normal. But some people it's abnormal. That's what we're talking about, and that's why you see
Mm.
when we talk about conversations like fantasy, it would always be there. And guess what? People will still misconstrue it because to a lot of people it is a sin. To a lot of people it is unheard of. To a lot of people you cannot be normal to think a certain way. However, there's a thin line between having a disorder because we have sexual disorders as well and having fantasy. We'll get into that.
Okay, so talking about disorder, because I found a picture and I would like to pull it up, where a friend of mine shared this picture and she was talking about, it says, parents, the world will feed your children to the wolves. So if you let them, if please guard them fiercely, because somebody was suggesting that is it not better that we have pornography, right? That we is it not better that we start having
Okay.
child pornography? I suppose having what's it called? Children consume adult pornography. So when the person said that is it not better they have child pornography than for, so I was now wondering in my head, is this not because this pornography that we're talking about, is it not because people's
Mm.
structure or people's concept about sex maybe have been
Mm-hmm.
dis- disoriented? That is why
Distorted,
somebody would just
exactly.
have that capacity, yeah, that desire to want to explore. Is it not coming from a dysfunctional place where people want to just explore? But now you're saying that everybody has that spirit of exploring sex within them. But correct me if I'm wrong. When you go in the route of pornography and all of that, does that not affect your sexual orientation and the ability for you to want to try different things?
Okay, so see, the thing is, when we talk about fantasy and then we involve pornography, they are two different things. Pornography comes with its own, it's a lot of disadvantage because what you see in pornography is not so real, or it is not real because you see, most of the things you see are being acted upon, or there you have the director, you have people tell you do it a certain way, do it. It's just to make believe, and it's still boiling down to people's fantasy that their own reality becomes your own reality. Now, I can tell you that you might find a child who grows up to be an adult, becomes married holier than thou. Like I said, I didn't think of this question before I talked about the holier than thou woman who is a talking virtuous woman, but she's she's a wild woman when it comes to the in the bedroom. So you see, you cannot. I'm not talking about maybe if we have to explore sexuality, it has to be with the help of pornography. Now, when it comes to pornography, there's something called sexual attachment. So a lot of people, what they are used to is only pain. Maybe the rape scenes or those kind of gory images of people, the BDSM, the bondage slave. So that is what they have now believed as their reality. But that is actually different from having a fantasy where you want this. However, because of that person or that child is used to this way of understanding or enjoying sexual exploration, that is what will be that person's reality. Do you understand what I'm
Mm,
explaining now? Does it
yeah.
connect? So, but they are still
Mhm.
different. That even without the assistance or maybe me being addicted to porn, I might just be that one person who is tilted to some sort of level of not pain, but that's because I'm a very intense person and I do not intend to just be normal because you see, sexuality is so deep and spiritual. It comes with a lot of character, a lot of desire. What is sex? Sex is a special energy exchange. So you might desire to exchange that energy in such a very intense way, like a ritual, like one person who is, like, what you want to do is just lick yourself. So, it's, how they say it's like an animalistic behavior, but we are learned animals, right? So you cannot even define that. Like you need to see animals when they make out. is so much, it's intense. Do you understand? I
Hmm.
don't know if your mind is being open, you're open to seeing what I'm explaining. So it's deeper than just
Absolutely.
saying two people just come together and they just meet. Like sometimes there are some days that I plan a certain sexuality. Like I have worked my ass out. Sorry, because I mean this is an adult page, so just let me just freestyle without
Yes, so
being
it's an adult space.
without having
Go
all of
ahead.
so I don't have all of the breaks in my conversation. You just want to explore so deep because your mind is being so busy the whole week. And now you want to really get into yourself. So you want that mental release. The next thing you're thinking about is a soft king. The next thing you're thinking about is a role play. Just give me some, sort of sweet pain yet pleasure. I really apologize. Give me a sweet pleasure, yet enjoyment, if that makes sense. Now, some
It-
persons, like maybe what maybe religious people would think. I mean, I'm a spiritual person, yeah, but you see, they will want to define you should have it this a certain way. You shouldn't have it this way.
mhm,
You cannot tell my mood, my feelings, my behavior at a certain time or at every point in time.
mhm.
Give me a second, please.
Not a problem.
So you see, okay,
Yeah.
okay, just a minute. So you see, when it comes to back to the conversation, you cannot dictate how I desire to explore my relationship. And that's why I encourage couples as much as possible. Test yourself. Do what pleases you, what
Hmm,
says a lot to you, not what you see by the book. A lot of people, pastors come up to preach about sex. They are not certified. They don't know, they don't understand intricacies or they don't understand when you talk about emotional or sexual behaviors of human. Like studying human sexuality opened my mind to why a lot of people do certain things. Like people can think, you can think about being stressed, and the next thing you're thinking about is sex because that is how much orgasm reduces pain. So a lot of people will go so into it. People who are aware, who are awakened to that point of sexuality, who have gotten to that realm. A lot of people just do it because okay, I just want to get engaged sexually and that's it. But people who understand the benefit fully would grab every single joy that comes with it. And the kind of
hmm,
sex you will have, and then you pass out for the whole day. That kind of moment, that kind of point you get to. Not being, the next thing you hear is, okay, you're too sexual. That means you're a bad person. So you see, all of this limits people to just
hmm.
experience it. They don't now explore the way they ought to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so because you just hit a very strong point now. You know when
Okay.
you think there's we are turning between people seeing us like, are you sure she's not a wayward type? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but why do
Exactly.
couples now find it very difficult, right? Why do they find it difficult to tell their partners how hot they want their sexual desires served? How, I mean, why are they not able to explore that sexual fantasy that they have with their spouse?
First of all, we have a social construct in our society. We have a religious emotional blackmail that I am going into a relationship. I'm saying yes, I do. The last thing I want to be talking to my man about, and for thank God that the tide is changing. You don't want to you don't want to sing to somebody that I kind of like it really rough yet soft. I am a vivacious person, but I like it when there's a little pain in me. I like it when I'm a bit drained after the day's work. All I want is something really extreme. And you'll be like, I don't think that's the way I see things because you see, where in this part of the world, you can tell that we're a bit judgmental, especially when it comes to that subject, because we don't we just found ourselves into this conversation when it comes to sex, because we don't talk about it. It's been like this for ages, and you see, sex is as old as history. And it's because of, I do not want to sound really religious, but the ancient our ancient humans, or in the medieval age, or pre-Christianity, if you read history back, their sexuality was such that it was so intense. Like the Japanese people actually practice shibari, but Christianity came
Hmm.
and said, okay, no, you don't have to do this. Shibari means it's like it's an intense kind of sexuality where they tie themselves. for people, for mental freedom, for sort of relaxation. That is their own, that is an extreme, part of sexuality that a lot of people don't know. Shibari, you could, Google it and check. So to them, it is not just because one person wants to get an orgasm and be fine and just be that. There is a lot of ways, a lot of realms, a lot of benefits when it comes to sexuality that for one person who is mentally stressed out can actually engage in a BDSM or a kink or role play and become better. Some persons will think about, okay, I want to solve because I'm a bit tired, I'm a bit worn out, I'm a bit, in a melancholy state and just want it really easy. But because of we've all had this notion that you're getting married, your mother tells you, well, now that you're saying yes, I do, just stay as a good wife that you are. All you need to do is to just stay submissive and open
Open
your
your legs.
legs. That's the only way. Open your legs and just stay. Even the man you're married to is not enjoying it because I did not get married to a robot. I did not get married to a Barbie. But you already have a mindset before entering the relationship that you are not supposed to mourn. If I pinch you, if I stab you, you will react like, oh my God, Jessica, that's so painful. But when it comes to sexuality, you are being forced mentally, spiritually, psychologically to keep quiet, not to moan. And when you moan so loud,
Hmm.
your husband begins to start saying that, oh my goodness, why is she moaning? Is something wrong with you? You just gave me a reflex, like a reflex. And you're pinching me and you're saying I shouldn't react. So you see, we have to have a lot of mental shift from sexuality, first of all, before
Hmm.
we even talk about even fantasy. I'm even talking about the on the surface level. We are not even there yet because even when you're
Hmm.
mentally engaged, there's a way you know so much. Naturally, you're just responding to stimuli, yeah. But you are bringing back yourself like, oh, don't say too much. By the time your neighbors, if you're in a face me I face you compound, or you're for you because you're just going to be like, okay, too care too much of, you put too much care to what maybe your environment, and you will not enjoy the actual maybe enjoyment that comes with sexuality. And that's why it looks like the Western world are more advanced than us. And then when you start seeing people are awakening and start being more spiritual and more awakened, you now start hearing words like this person is bad, this person is false, because this is one person who was accepted, who was embraced her sexuality to how he or she feels. And even guess what?
Hmm.
We women are even more because we are the perpetrators of this, and then we play the victim the most. Between us, if you find one woman,
Absolutely.
one of our maybe one of us who feels like, okay, I have this under control, I know how to share my emotions, we will be the ones to say, look at that one. That one is not part of us. So these ones are the slave, whatever, or the bad ones, why we're the good ones. Why we were the ones dying in silence. And guess what? When you say yes, I
Absolutely.
do, people just tell you about marriage, like, okay, now it's about kids, it's about this. Nobody's really talking about that very important conversation, which is sex. As you are, well, we could do business together. We could stay in the same room. We could engage in different things. The only thing that we will probably not get into, except we're in a relationship, is sex. And that sex is what people don't even talk about or don't handle when it comes to sex or when it comes to marriage or when it
Hmm.
comes to relationship. People will tell you, what are your financial
So,
goals? What are your these goals?
hmm,
What are your body goals? Is anybody talking about sex goal? Because it is actually
sex
important.
goals.
Do you
But coach,
ever talk about it?
no,
I'm
funny
so
the funny
sorry.
thing is, so um just so I am feeling like as I am
Yeah.
growing older, right? I think
Okay.
my sexuality is changing. I'm not that
Right.
naive young girl anymore. I am beginning to be very, very, like my mind, I engage my mind space when it comes to sex. Unlike before, that I would never, like now I can just stay by myself and take myself to a state where I actually have an orgasm by myself without
Mm-hmm.
even touching,
Right.
because I know sex is very, very in tune with the mind, right? So how do we begin
Exactly.
to communicate, right? How do we begin to
What you see,
communicate this sexual being, because we're sexual beings? How do we communicate to
James,
our partners to say, you know what, you are not taking me to my ecstasy, you're not taking me to where I am fantasizing in terms of sex?
the truth is, we all need to heal because of your healed first, and that's why you're bold enough to say that. first of all, is your mind. A lot of people are disconnected, even the ones who say I do, even the ones who are in a relationship. So, first of all, you have to heal. Because you have gotten to a place, it's just like you're seeing light. So you know that, oh, after all, it's about me, my mind, myself, and what I want. That I want this does not make me a terrible person or doesn't make me out of place. You understand that you're a sexual being. A lot of Nigerians, a lot of African Nigerians do not understand that, first of all, they are sexual beings. Like God created sex. Like sex is nature. And you know what comes with nature? Everything that comes with nature is supposed to be serving something for us.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, it has to go first of all with you telling yourself, like your mind, sometimes when I want to really get down, I engage my mind mentally. I'm like, Jess, this is what you need right now. How many women will usually go through that, or how many men? So what I always advise is heal from the fact, take your mind, like unlearn a lot of things to know that you are not okay. Imagine that all your life, and it doesn't come easy. Some people never grow out of it because imagine all their lives from birth day one, from being a 1 year old child, they've been talking about sex. Don't go there, it is evil. And you learn all of this for the rest for 20 something years, and maybe you said yes, I do at 25. Imagine what that's become your truth for 25 years. It will take a lot for you to unlearn that you have learned for 25 years. That even when you see it,
Mm-hmm.
you're watching with an adult, maybe a scene where they are probably hugging, you get uncomfortable. In fact, you're like, should I look or should I take my face the other way? Because it is something that you cannot just, accept. So it will take you a lot of processes. I still deal with clients who would not make out in the daylight or who would not make out the lights on. I still have people who are still overthinking
Mm.
because this
Yes.
is who they are. So yeah.
That light offing. Why do people off like this? Go? Can't we be seeing each other?
I don't know. So there's so much. People turn off the lights because they are uncomfortable. A lot of people are body shaming. A lot of people cannot express that I actually am enjoying it. So I do not want my partner to see that, oh my God, I'm losing my black balls, my retinas are going in, and I'm looking ugly or fine or whatever. People cannot bring themselves to the truth. So, like, let me feel this. And guess what? I feel and I'm praying. And one of the reasons why I went into this um field was the fact that I wanted to tell every woman, I wanted to tell every man that this is it. You would enjoy it, relax yourself, and know that it is a gift that comes with being a human. Like you're dead, you are gone, it's over. That is the thing that comes with, when you say the seventh day God rested, God gave us sex to rest. Like this is your gift. You know what it means? Like after all the stress, the work, and everything, sex is that thing that comes with you as a gift. But unfortunately, people unfortunately, people are beginning to realize what I mean. It's not that easy. You cannot tell, maybe imagine maybe a deeper life person getting married to one who is been more exposed than her or him, and then you expect everything to just turn once and 360. It doesn't work that way. But thank God that the tide
Hmm.
is changing. Because you know what,
Absolutely.
I was talking to a pastor, and then he was like, okay, Jess, I'm very uncomfortable with what you're doing, but I think I need to tell you this, that I'm so proud of what you're doing. Guess what? Out of 10 people who come to meet me for complaints in church, 9 out of 10 is about sexuality. In fact, at the time we were talking, three of the women wanted to go their separate ways. I think one of them actually had her first orgasm by virtue of the fact that she did it on her own. Maybe she had a masturbation season or whatever. And then she realized that, so for all my life, I've been with you for 10 years. So this is what I have been getting. And she wanted a divorce. It's deep.
Sad. So sad. So, but just so how do we deal with a partner that supposedly is not really willing to explore with you, right? Maybe you have gotten to that stage where all your senses are heightened, but the partner is not just interested in exploring sexually with you. How do you deal with that?
I feel that, and based on my experience, I know that for a fact that every couple at some point, or everybody would always want to explore. It's just how you go about it. Now, because of your awakened and your partner doesn't mean that, okay, for every time, okay, let's put it this way: how you introduce or how you want to teach exploration matters a lot in your relationship. For someone who maybe in their place, because you hear people say that oral sex is a taboo. How can I go down and lick a
Hmm.
woman? It is a sin. Yes, it's a cultural, it's madness. So you cannot even convince such a person. But guess what? When you start introducing stuff like kissing, if you say that oral sex, kissing is a level of oral sex. So if you start introducing, gradually suggesting, not attacking, like your mates are doing this. When you start saying your mates are doing this, and then you're telling me, don't you think I'll start suspecting you? Are you beginning to see someone else? So I don't want to explore. Please don't put me in your madness or in your evil ways. That is what a normal person will just think about immediately. But whether you introduce stuff like, okay, how about we try this? Or without even talking about it, how about we do, from your introductions, from your moods, from how you put up things, it gets better with time because you see, when every time we talk about sex, it is not an easy topic. It is not, it is heavy. Even when we go on live on Instagram or other platforms, perhaps, they don't really accept, when you come about to talk about these things freely because they feel it is vulgar. They feel it is not for the society's consumption. And that is one of the
Let me
problems.
just tell people, Sha. Me, oh, I do not care what you think. If you're not ready to go down with your mouth, forget it. We're not doing it. I'm sorry. I
There are
work too
people,
hard to keep that place clean. You understand? For it not to
exactly.
be huge.
So I mean, I've met because maybe I'm on. This is my thing now. I've heard stories, and sometimes sometimes I cry like I cry because I know some places in rivers, I wouldn't call it particular maybe ethnic group or particular cultural whatever. They do not, according to them, they are men, but their men actually receive orals, but they say that it is taboo for them. That means they are worshiping their wives. That if I do that, I'm worship. So there's a lot of learning we need to do. And then these women, and guess what? A lot of 95% of women, by research, by experience, by our studies, women would always orgasm through clitoral stimulation because the major
Yeah.
sexual organ for a woman is the clitoris. Most of the time
Mm-hmm.
you will go into penetration, you would hardly have an orgasm except once in a while, and that's because you've done a lot of clitoral stimulation, and there is a particular maybe sexual position that would happen for that penetration to receive orgasm via that media. If not, you will find a lot of women who would never come because the only way they will come is through clitoral stimulation. And most men, or some men who claim that it is out of their religion or out of their culture, we never do it. So we've not even started this conversation. You want to hear what women say. I mean, I'm not seeing the comments or but then you just want there's a lot. There is a lot. Or maybe you find pastors who will be talking, you as a leader in a church, you feel like you're grounded to talk about sexuality in the church, and then you tell your audience, and because of what you're going to be saying to them, they will pick it. Imagine maybe thousands of audience or believers who listen to you. You tell them that because of this is the mouth you use to pray to God, you cannot use this same mouth to now do such because they call it evil. And then I ask the question, who created the sex in the first place?
Hmm.
And then you hear something like
Okay, so
man shall not live by bread alone and all that stuff. Yeah.
just when I was about coming live, Jess, someone sent me a
Am I
message, and
free?
I'd like to read it.
Okay.
It says he hosted a couple of his friends during the lockdown, and the subject of sex came up as a discussion. And in the course of the discussion, it said, meanwhile, I thought it was supposed to be. I mean, a woman was saying that she was asking for sex, but the husband was the one running away. That he said that he thought that it was supposed to be the other way around, that a man would be asking and the woman would be running away. So that was the first shocker for him. So he now said that down the line, right? Um, a couple. I'm trying not to read all the messages so that it's not. So he now says that there's a
But
couple
yeah,
that's been married for 2 years, right? He says another couple didn't have sex for almost 6 months, right? That was another complaint that another couple had. He says last week someone called him to ask for advice, that someone sent a video of him, eh, or sent a video to him of
Mm-hmm.
his wife having, let me use it in his word, he said being gang banged and even doing anal sex. She
Wow.
was, so it was not even just one person, she was being gang banged and it was anal sex. So he
Mm.
says that he now told the person to just go on a vacation, said because let him go and clear his head first, when he comes back he'll find a solution. He now says they have been married for about 2 years. Apparently the lady was a street girl, but she pretended, to be whatever just to get him and all of that. And what was more shocking for him was that she was the one coordinating the thing. So she was in the midst of
Mm.
three guys, and she was the only one, and she was coordinating them on what to do. So there was anal going on, there were so many things happening all at the same time. Now this clearly tells me that this
Wow.
is a very wild person. She's crazy. She's been I mean, she's in that space where she wants to explore sexually. And of course she's now married to somebody that is supposed to be. So what would you advise this man to do? Because first of all, the man is already mentally, psychologically disoriented already, because he never thought this
Exactly.
good wife that he had, that she was chaste before the wedding, no sex before marriage, and
Mm.
now seeing
Mm.
this. How do you even advise this person?
Wow. First of all, I mean, this is what we always see. It is. I wouldn't say it is not possible because it's so possible. A lot of couples get married and they have sexual incompatibility. So let's not, you said something that maybe the lady is crazy. It is your definition. She might not be seeing herself being crazy. Maybe it is what she has been used to. It is what she
Yes.
knows. But because of she cannot discuss this with the husband, she went into that marriage of lie because she lied into that marriage. That is not who she is. And that is why, even if she says, I'm sorry and this will not happen, it is not who she is. If you give her another opportunity, set her up, she will
She will
still
do it.
fall again.
So she's clearly
Yeah,
she's
so I
clearly
wish
she's clearly an explorer.
an explorer. But guess what? Somebody might be an explorer that is a one-on-one, like me and my husband, but we're exploring. So we are all explorers. The only problem is I wish that we can be open. If we're crazy by nature, if we want to explore by 50 people, let your partner know, because it might even be that your partner might give you just exactly what you want. This is not a church thing. So we are not going to say if she's with 10 men is a sin or not. That is for the pastor to go and judge. Let's just say that I
Yeah.
wish, or it would have been a case of the lady coming up, and people are intrigued when they find out that you can be honest with me, guys. This is how I like it to two men to one. Can you be giving me your friend? This is how I don't care, call me crazy. Or guess what? How many men will want to marry her? So all she needed to do was to lie and be in that marriage. She wants to keep, if maybe the husband wasn't aware, she would leave that marriage, live in that marriage, and never make a sound like this is who I am. And they'll be living like that because a lot of people are like this, are like living life, living marriage like this. My advice for the man is, like you said, that he's taking a break. He's taking a break. Just go clear your head, first of all, and come back to terms. A lot of people will never be able to deal with it because for the rest of their life, they will have a sexual disorientation. Like it might just distort his mind from actual reality. Some people, separation is not
Mm.
divorce. I always like to say it, separation is not divorce. Come clear. If you ask me and they still want this marriage to hold, let them see a
Mhm.
therapist, because a lot of people don't even see therapy. They don't even, I'm go see person for sex talk. And what kind of rubbish is that now? So the thing
But
don't
just,
reach.
do you
If you
think
are
you can watch this kind of a woman that has gotten to that place where she has four men to herself or three to her? Do you think you can walk her back to that point where she's able to still explore, but with just her partner? You understand? Is it
Yes,
possible?
yes. Yes, it's possible, depending on who she is or what she wants. You see, when it comes to therapy, you want to be doing a lot of listening. From listening, you'll be able to deduce, you'll be able to tell which or what kind of person this is. And guess what? Sometimes these emotions just come, or these desires just come. Maybe they are not that kind of person. And guess what? I talked about sexual attachment from the get go. Maybe I'm just saying, I'm not saying maybe that is the truth. people, their first sexual experience is what usually guides their future desire. You can tell that person maybe must have been raped by crowd, or not even raped. Maybe this person, this is what she likes, or maybe this is what she's been introduced to, and that is how she sees it. So if you go through therapy with
So
that
is
person,
the
the person
introduction to
can
sex, is it very key in this part of exploration? What
yes,
introduced you to sex? Is it very key?
yes. So it like it guides your understanding. Like I in my training, we did a research. Most people who were sexually abused, they usually rely on most of the time. They want that force, that pain, because most of the time that was what they were first introduced to, and it guides them. For instance, I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Sex Life. This woman has been used to having maybe that kind of explorative sex. Give it to me on the stairs whenever,
Handcuffs.
give me that
Mhm.
touching, the anchor. This is how I want it. That is how I've been used to. And the body does not forget. You see, this body does not forget. That's why sometimes we have deja vu. Like you feel like I felt like this before. There's something like I feel like this is happening. This has happened before. So when she got into a marriage, she wasn't used to just being all there, mommy, wife. She wanted that thing she's used to. And that's why when she made out with the husband, with all that came with what she was used to, she enjoyed it so much because the body could remember how I used to like it. But the body can also be trained to enjoy new things and to desire new things. I mean, you always get tired of your toys. So open your
Ah.
mind, if you, I mean, there's a lot. I need to take a break.
So, because Jess, what's the craziest thing you've done? Because we have like 2 minutes to round up.
Okay, the
What's the
craziest
craziest
thing
thing that
I've
you've
done.
done? And if I want to go crazy, how do I start?
Okay, I mean, you start slow. Always like, don't do it because you want to just, I want to be crazy. Sometimes what people call crazy is not crazy to a lot of people. But I just listen to my body. Like I listen to myself so much. Like I know what I want and I just flow in that. And then I have a partner that understand, communicate sex. And I like to do a lot of anticipation. Like your anticipation is the greatest aphrodisiac. So sometimes we sex talk our way into doing something crazy, right? Like recently, I got into a very intense sexual exploration with my husband. Now that comes from communicating. Sometimes we go out of like do a lot of bedroom outside activities where you can tell yourselves like, what do you think we should do? Ask yourself questions, give goals. Like you said, yes. I didn't wait to say yes, I do to not start playing small, to now live a mediocre life. No, keep things like we have goals. I have body goals, I have sex goals, but I shouldn't say exactly how, but I don't, what you might say crazy stuff, but it's actually what my soul and my body wants. But now your body wants a certain thing doesn't mean you grant your body all of the desires. Like sometimes you feel like stabbing someone, like you just think of something crazy, like those fantasies. Do you actually do that? No. But on extreme cases of people who are sick, they do all that. But that doesn't mean you will not give yes to all your body's desire. Does that work?
Absolutely. Wow, we
Right.
were having so much fun. Time just came and finished us.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for this. You know what? I think we're going to probably
Right.
do a lot of parts. I can't even say part two. There has to be part two, three, four, five, six, seven. But the truth
Honestly,
is
there's a
sexual
lot of things.
exploration is sexual yeah, because we need to get to that point where we are able to teach women how to have like ecstasy kind of orgasm, where your head is in cloud
Exactly.
50, you know. So it's not just the men that
Like
needs to have
something.
sexual satisfaction.
hmm We know we the topic
Yeah.
is exploring sexual fantasies, but we really didn't go all the way. Like a lot of women have fetish that you when you hear of you will go gaga, right? But not everybody will come up to talk about this is my fetish. Some very weird feeling, and then you cannot talk about it in your relationship because you do not know what your partner will think of you. But fetish usually exists. Fantasies exist. What is fantasy? A lot of imagination, sometimes impossible, sometimes possible. These things exist. As much as possible, go forth, go explore, go be happy in your relationship. That's one of the reasons we said I do, or why you're in the relationship in the first place.
Okay, so for the mister that is that put a ring on my finger, that in case you're just listening, one of my fantasies should be, going on a yacht and just in the middle of the sea, just on top of the yacht, not inside, where everybody on under the skies. Let's do some crazy shit there. But thank you
I think
so much,
let me
Coach
share
Jess.
one. Let me quickly share. Also, our time is up. I wanted to say that we were on, I think, I don't know if there's anything like Kuramo Beach again. I think we were having such there, and one pervert came in because we wanted to have people around watch us. It was just a crazy experience. We ran away, and these things really happen. But I mean, you're dealing with the one you love. Go explore. And then years to come, it becomes memory. You talk about it and laugh in your oldies, in your 70s, and beautiful experiences.
Thank you so much. So your book is for women, right?
Yes.
Women, you too can. I'm trying to get the topic. Sorry, it's far from me. The topic for the book.
Woman, sex was made for you too.
Yes, that's the topic. Sex was made for you too. I love that topic so much because I think a lot of times we see that we see sex and we think, oh, it's just for the men. So women, we're out here to explore, and I cannot wait for us to have like another sitting conversation for us to discuss more on this. But if you're out there and you really want to explore your sexual desires, Coach Jessica, I mean, she is here. She is very much available on Instagram. Just chat her, send her a DM. It's very important. We have to deliver a lot of people from boring sex lives. Thank you so much, Coach
Yes.
Jess. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for
Thank you.
having
Thank you.
me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. So thank you so much, everyone. Remember to get the book. Is Sex Was Made for You to Woman. That's the title of the book. So until next time, next week Sunday at 8 p.m. we'll come again to you live. Enjoy the rest of your evening.